Hey, how's it going? I'm going to let you take a look at my signs real quick for the disclaimer portion of this recording. Because I'm just sharing some thoughts and some commentary on those. Alright, so I have two cards, and they are yesterday and today. So, yesterday's card from the Declarations of Mary Magdalene deck is the number 25. And I looked that up, and the first definition that came up for it was talking about God's view of the number 25. Sorry, I just ate a salad. That was shredded carrot. Anyway, it said the number 20 talks about redemption, and the number 5 talks about peace. And I thought, that's interesting. Who needs redeeming? But then I didn't have to think very far about that, because here in the United States, it's like the government mainly, and then all of the things that the government is encouraging and pushing that are not necessarily great for the population here as a whole. Just like with the money, only a few people get decent consideration and everybody else is considered not deserving of it, I guess. And that's not right, because the majority of people, whatever they're doing, like in their occupations and even in their life, they're not just doing it for themselves. Like, everybody kind of understands that everybody is doing something that's going to affect everybody else in some level, on some level, in some way. And the effect that these people have been having on the rest of us for, well, the first Trump term was, I guess, a warning of things to come. Like, he didn't have his footing, really. And then he had a term in between to stew and scheme and be angry. And so, when he got elected again, or when he was put back in office, I guess you could say, he was plenty bitter and mean and ready to, like, take it out on people. And so everybody, I feel like, that aligned themselves with this dark vision and agree with, like, the policies and attitudes of this guy, like, they're making it really not better for anyone else. They're just helping their own destruction if they're not in his class, which a lot of his supporters are not. Seems like people are peeling away and starting to understand that, like, this actually isn't right. So, here's what this card says, the yesterday card. For no soul may hold their false light over another in forms of taxation, lies, control, dictatorship, deceit, manipulation, corruption, ill repute, forms of spells, dark magic, contract certifying birth, that go against thy divine, contract certifying birth, period. Dark magic, contracts certifying, I'm reading that line again. Let me try to get to the next one. That go against thy divine will of any child of God, seen or unseen. For all have the right to freedom to live and in love as thou so shalt choose as God's sovereign beings. So that last line, I don't know if you caught that, but it said, love whoever the hell you want, because you are a sovereign being and you're allowed to. And the rest of it, well, it starts off saying what no soul may do. However, I think everyone can agree, it sure looks like some souls are doing those things very much. But the thing about that is that they're not only breaking civil laws, they're breaking like sacred law. And it reminds me of this incident that happened, in the early 2000s, and I was on Facebook, and it was an Asian country, and a young woman had been raped, and she was prosecuted and blamed for like enticing this man to do that to her. And I said, as a comment to the general public, because the feed on Facebook was different at that time, but anyway, I put it in there and I said, that's not right. You know, that's, I don't know, I think that's kind of like all I said, like that's not right, or it's wrong, that it's a crime. Because basically, I could relate to this woman because it's happened to me. And if it hasn't happened to you, then maybe you don't understand the gravity of what it feels like to have that particular thing that you don't want to let go of ripped away from you, and you're mightily protesting the whole time and nothing is working. And when you're in that space, it is very easy to think there's no God, no one cares, everything is bad in hell. But as with the prohibition against all of these things, it does seem like it goes ahead and happens. But the thing about it is, it happens so that we can see it and know it, and see it and know why it's wrong and why you're not supposed to do it. So I guess with like cosmic law, that's part of the whole investigation, trial, conviction, etc. Everybody kind of has to go through it. So even though it says here, no soul may do these things, and it sure seems like it's happening anyway, it doesn't mean that they won't be prosecuted in a manner of speaking at some point. And I think we all know that few trials as we know them happen with the rapidity that they're supposed to. Like, you're supposed to have a quick and speedy trial. Boy, is it rare that that happens. Like, you have to have offended like everybody across the board, which is hard to do, and why that doesn't happen often. But this stuff and the things that we do here and like against each other, on the one hand, it's part of the script. You know, we signed up for it. It's we may not remember, and that's why we're so like, oh, offended by it. But it happens for a reason, and I believe the reason is so that we can experience it top to bottom, front to back, all the way through, and feel utterly crappy. But I will again remind everyone that our ET brothers and sisters, like the Arcturians, for example, they're like, that's the best when you feel like shit and crap. Oh my God, you're having such a great time. Which makes me think it's pretty like staid and stoic outside of Earth. Like the whole emotional uproar and hair on fire that we experience here is a fun big deal to them, because that's not their it's not their normal reality. And so to us it's like, ugh, I don't want to do that again. That's because we have it, you know, free to access at any time, and we have forgotten how precious a gift it is to be here and experience all the shit and poo-poo and caca. But I think that's how it works. I think that's why it says, no, don't do that. Or like a young girl can get raped and the whole country will like, I can't quite remember the details because it was like a decade ago, but I feel like this girl was at least metaphorically stoned to death because all she was doing was just walking around being a woman, and that alone in so many ways can still on this earth get you in a world of problems. And it's like, you're not trying to do anything. That's somebody else. That's a somebody else problem that they have attached to you, glommed onto you, and now made you a part of. And again, consult the script. I know it's like split brain. It's this, but it's also this, and neither of them make sense together. And maybe that's what makes it sensible. Maybe it's not about making a kind of sense that I, as a human earth dweller, am going to cognize. I think things get a lot more abstract, and that's where the sense kind of comes in, but it's coming from so many directions and means so many different things at once. Maybe our little earth brains can't really do that. We can only handle the sinning section, because it seems like being good and loving and kind and nice and faithful to like another human being's sovereignty is really hard for us. It's like so much easier to just get mad and like ruin someone's life. And okay, so the today card is the number 8, and I don't have to look up anything for that because it strongly comes across as it does with tarot card number 8, which is strength. And then also this happens on the number 6 card too, but it's saying something else. The 8, when you turn it on its side, is the infinity symbol. So that's what appears also on the number 6 card in tarot. But in the number 8, it represents something else. And the number 8 represents strength, but like inner strength. Inner strength to actually coexist in this crazy world with the dichotomy of this should not be happening, it's against sacred law, and yet it's happening. And then your brain has to like sort that and find a way to live with it. So this card with the strength, I think that's the kind of strength that it gives us, like a psychic strength to continue walking the gauntlet, getting the crap beaten out of you sort of as you go along. And you must go on because the show must go on. It's not just in show business. You can't just lay down and cease to exist. I mean, you can, but that seems like a slow and painful process to get out of something. Okay, so what this card says: remember thy heart holds no lies, for in thou heart is only thy truth in love. So, like, that might seem kind of convoluted, but basically what it's saying is the heart don't lie. And regardless of whatever structure of barrier system, veils of ignorance and confusion, or just something to like deflect you from what's at the core of things, and where you find the core of things, you're gonna U-turn right back into your heart, because that's where your truth lies. And the love is something that I actually think we all have for each other, and we have so much of it that we'll do each other dirty just to serve one another the experience. Because when something happens to you, there is that part where the stuff happens to you, but the factors that and people that make the things happen to you also experience effects, because cause and reaction, like they did something, so as a result of that, they're going to experience something in return. Like, literally, that is the process, I believe, in my opinion. So, it's almost like this card is here to make you realize, if you have something like this before it, or just your everyday life that somewhat resembles this, get out of here! I've been trying to get rid of this fly for so long, and they just want to hang around me. I don't know what the attraction is, but I'm not into flies like that. But seriously, the truth and love that we hold in our hearts, I don't know that many of us know what we're putting our sort of metaphorical hand over and sort of holding down or blocking from, like, interacting with the rest of the space around you. And that's crazy, because that's probably the most powerful thing we possess, is the truth in our heart. And I think reason that it is true and stays true there in your heart is because the love factor. That you will take the beatings that this offers up and accept it, served to you by, if not someone that you love in this life, perhaps someone that you have loved over lifetimes, and together you partner to give these experiences over the lifetimes. And it accumulates. There's an accumulation after you sort of, I don't know if this is the right phrase, but commit these acts. You're not committing a crime necessarily. I mean, in this sort of earth scenario scape that we are living in, like right now, we experience these offenses against us in a different way than what I'm talking about, because in order for me to even, like, grok this and, like, communicate it to you, I'm having to do a lot of processing here, and it is hard to, like, break free of stuff you've grown up with. Like, if you do this to someone else, you have committed a crime and a sin, and you are bad. There's a lot attached to that. And then when you also, like, try to juxtapose that with, you meant to do that because it's part of a sequence of events that are meant to happen, that have a meaning that you may not grasp right now in the moment, because a lot of this stuff is scaled out so big from the point of origin. Like, say it happens here, the effects of it happening radiate out from it, and I think they just extrapolate into larger and larger and larger a size of a thing that you cannot see, like, the ends of it. They have left where your vision has the capacity to still perceive it. But that doesn't mean it's not still doing its work. You might not know what that is once it leaves your purview, but you can know that it's still happening, because we have examples of things like that in society, or not society, but yes, society, but just in the world. Like, sound carrying is an example, I feel like, of, like, explaining the act of what I was just trying to say, like illustrating it. I don't know if that made any sense, because it feels like it got real convoluted there. But with those two cards combined, yesterday and today, what I can say is, yesterday when you're in it may have felt like really terrible, but it did reach a conclusion. Like, the sun went down and then came up the next morning, and you start over. And this one tells me that when that happens, you can like, do an etch a sketch, like, just start over, you know, reset, clean slate. Thank you and good night.